If aliens lived in our oceans, they'd probably look a lot like octopuses. These creatures are so bizarre, so fundamentally different from us, that studying them feels like making first contact with an intelligent species from another world. They have 3 hearts, blue blood, and a brain that's distributed throughout their entire body. They can taste with their skin, change color faster than you can blink, and squeeze their entire body through an opening the size of their eyeball. And perhaps most remarkably, they can solve puzzles, use tools, and even seem to have distinct personalities, all despite being more closely related to snails than to any animal with a backbone. Let's start with something that sounds like science fiction, but is absolutely true. Octopuses can edit their own RNA to adapt to environmental changes like temperature. When octopuses acclimated to cold water, researchers found increases in protein-altering activity at more than 13,000 RNA sites in their nervous systems. While most animals, including humans, are stuck with the genes they're born with, octopuses modify RNA, the molecule used to translate information from DNA, while leaving the DNA unaltered. It's as if they're rewriting their own instruction manual as they go. And here's another fact that should blow your mind. Octopuses have been around for at least 296 million years, dating back to the Carboniferous period. The oldest known octopus fossil is Pulsipia mazanensis, approximately 296 million years old. They were already ancient when the first dinosaurs appeared. They've survived multiple mass extinction events that wiped out most life on Earth. And throughout all that time, they've remained fundamentally solitary creatures, never developing the kind of social structures that drove intelligence in primates. Yet they're still remarkably smart. How did that happen? Let's start with the basics, except nothing about an octopus is basic. Their body plan is so different from ours that even describing it requires rethinking what we mean by common terms. First, those 3 hearts. One heart circulates blood around the body, while the other 2 pump it past the gills to pick up oxygen. But here's the weird part. When an octopus swims, the systemic heart actually stops beating. This is why octopuses prefer to crawl along the seafloor rather than swim. Swimming literally exhausts them because their main heart takes a break while they're doing it. That blue blood I mentioned. It's blue because octopuses use copper-based hemocyanin to carry oxygen through their bodies instead of iron-based hemoglobin like humans. This copper-based protein is more efficient at transporting oxygen molecules in cold and low oxygen conditions, so is ideal for life in the ocean. However, it also makes them extremely sensitive to changes in ocean acidity and temperature, which is concerning given current climate change. Now let's talk about the brain, because this is where things get really strange. An octopus has about 500 million neurons, roughly the same as a dog. But here's the kicker. Only about 40% of those neurons are in the central brain, which is wrapped around the esophagus and located in the octopus's head. About 2/3 are in its arms. Each arm essentially has its own mini-brain that can taste, touch, and even make simple decisions independently. An octopus arm that's been completely severed from the body will continue to reach for food and try to bring it to where the mouth used to be. The arm literally has a mind of its own. This distributed intelligence creates a fascinating problem. How does an octopus keep track of all its arms? The answer is that it mostly doesn't try. Instead, each arm operates with significant autonomy, exploring and problem-solving on its own, and only reporting back to the central brain when something interesting is found. It's less like one creature controlling 8 arms and more like a committee of 9 semi-independent beings cooperating. This arrangement enables octopuses to complete tasks with their arms more quickly and effectively. Speaking of those arms, let's be clear about terminology. Octopuses have arms, not tentacles. Tentacles are what squid have, long appendages with suckers only at the ends. Octopus arms have suckers along their entire length. A large octopus can have up to 280 suckers per arm, and each sucker can contain up to 10,000 neurons. That means an octopus can taste what it touches, identifying whether something is food or foe through its arms alone. The octopus body is boneless and almost entirely soft, with just one hard structure, a beak. The octopus has a hard, retractable beak similar to a parrot's, useful for breaking open clamshells and tearing apart flesh. This boneless design allows them to squeeze through incredibly small spaces. Essentially, if their beak can fit through an opening, the rest of their body can follow. An octopus's brain-to-body ratio is the largest of any invertebrate. It's also larger than many vertebrates, although not mammals. This massive investment in brain tissue suggests that intelligence is incredibly important to octopus survival. Octopuses are astonishingly intelligent, and they demonstrate this in ways that continue to surprise researchers. In experiments, they've solved mazes and completed tricky tasks to get food rewards. They're also adept at getting themselves in and out of containers. There are countless anecdotes about octopus intelligence. In one laboratory, all the fish were going missing from their tank. The staff set up a camera and discovered that one of the octopuses was getting out of its tank, going to the other tank opening, it eating the fish, closing the lid, going back to its own tank and hiding the evidence. These aren't just random behaviors. They show planning, problem-solving, and even what looks like deliberate deception. Tool use is relatively rare in the animal kingdom and is something we tend to associate with apes, monkeys, dolphins, and some birds. Among invertebrates, only octopuses and a few insects are known to use tools. The most spectacular example of octopus tool use comes from the coconut octopus. In 2009, veined octopuses were observed collecting discarded coconut shell halves from the seafloor in Indonesia. After they dug up the shells, the octopuses gave them a good clean with jets of water. They then carried them up to 20 meters to a new location and assembled them as a shelter only when needed. While being carried, the shells offer no protection and require the octopus to use a novel and cumbersome form of locomotion called stilt walking. This makes the octopuses more vulnerable to predators during transport, but they're apparently willing to accept the short-term risk for future protection. The fact that the shells provide only delayed benefits, they're useless until assembled, is considered conclusive evidence of genuine tool use and forward planning. Even more remarkably, octopuses are the only animals without a rigid endo or exoskeleton who can walk bipedally. The coconut octopus will stilt walk on two arms while carrying its shells, possibly to appear like a rolling coconut on the seafloor. Octopuses can also learn through observation. A 2021 study found that octopuses that watched a trained peer complete a task later solved it faster than those without observation. This social learning ability is surprising, given that octopuses are generally solitary creatures. Researchers also found that octopuses possess a brainwave that has never been seen before in animals, along with others similar to those found in humans. This groundbreaking discovery came from the first ever brain recordings of freely moving octopuses. When it comes to hunting, octopuses are strategic and precise. Studies of the California two-spot octopus discovered that each type of prey required different hunting techniques. Although no matter what type of prey came by, octopuses started their attack by using the second arm from the middle. Which of those two arms they use depends on which of their eyes spotted the prey. The eye that spies the food item will then be directing arms towards the prey, and they'll always use arms on the side that the eye is pointing towards the food item. Perhaps most surprising of all, some octopuses hunt cooperatively with fish. Research found that octopuses don't just tolerate fish following them, they actually benefit from being part of a hunting party. When hunting in a group with goatfish, octopuses conducted fewer, longer web-overs, and were much more likely to target structures containing prey. And if the hunt stalled, the octopus would sometimes punch a fish, apparently to get the group moving again. If octopuses are masters of intelligence, they're also undisputed champions of disguise. These cephalopods can change the color of their skin in the blink of an eye. Many thousands of color-changing cells called chromatophores just below the surface of the skin are responsible for these remarkable transformations. The center of each chromatophore contains an elastic sac full of pigment, which may be colored black, brown, orange, red, or yellow. When the sac expands, the color is more visible. A complex array of nerves and muscles controls whether the sac is expanded or contracted. The chromatophores can be opened quickly because they are controlled neurally. Squid, cuttlefish, and octopuses can change colors within milliseconds. But chromatophores are just the beginning. Some cephalopods also have iridophores and leucophores. Iridophores have stacks of reflecting plates that create iridescent greens, blues, silvers, and golds, while leucophores mirror back the colors of the environment, making the animal less conspicuous. Octopuses can change not only their coloring, but also the texture of their skin to match rocks, corals, and other items nearby. They do this by controlling the size of projections on their skin called papillae, creating textures ranging from small bumps to tall spikes. Here's where it gets truly mind-bending. Octopuses are actually colorblind. They only have one type of receptor in their eyes, which means they are completely colorblind, only seeing the world in shades of gray. So how do they match colors so perfectly? Using chemicals called opsins in tiny fibers on their arms, octopuses can sense color by the changes in the wavelengths of light. That's right, their skin can see. Recent research found that light causes chromatophores to expand in excised pieces of octopus skin, a behavior called light-activated chromatophore expansion, or LACE. The skin can sense and respond to light directly, independent of the eyes. Octopuses also have more chromatophores than squids and cuttlefish per square inch of skin, which helps them to create super high-resolution patterns. Recent research found that rapid color change is exceptionally energetically expensive for octopuses, nearly as great as the organism's resting metabolic rate. This high metabolic cost may explain why octopuses are generally nocturnal and why they spend so much time in dens. The mimic octopus takes camouflage to an entirely different level. Rather than blending in with the seafloor, it changes its skin color and how it moves its tentacles to take on the shape of other sea creatures. It has been known to impersonate more than 15 different marine species, including flounders, lionfish, and sea snakes. When camouflage isn't enough, octopuses have other defenses. Most species can release a cloud of dark ink that obscures a predator's vision and interferes with their sense of smell. They can also perform autotomy, deliberately shedding an arm to distract a predator while they escape. The severed arm will continue to wriggle and crawl, providing a convincing decoy while the octopus jets away. And unlike when lizards lose their tails, an octopus can completely regenerate a lost arm, including nerves and muscle structure, in just a few months. Octopuses are carnivorous predators with diverse and sophisticated hunting strategies. Studies show that octopuses primarily consume crustaceans, 40–60% of diet, mollusks, 20–40%, fish, 10–30%, and other invertebrates, 5–15%. The octopus hunts at dusk. Crabs, crayfish, and bivalve mollusks are preferred, although it will eat almost anything it can catch. Their hunting methods are remarkably varied. Octopuses employ several hunting strategies: ambush predation, active pursuit, probing crevices with arms, and even scavenging. When hunting in open water, one preferred method is to envelop prey in the web of skin between their tentacles, like capturing it with a net. The octopus has a veritable Swiss Army knife of tools located inside its mouth. Directly inside its mouth, it has a hard, retractable beak, similar to a parrot's. Next to the beak is the radula, a barbed tongue the octopus uses to scrape an animal out of its shell once the shell is opened. And if these tools don't do the trick, it also has a tooth-covered organ called the salivary papilla that it can use to drill into shells. The papilla's bodily secretion also erodes the shell, and then weakens the prey so it can be consumed. When octopuses bite their prey, they inject a powerful venom into it. This usually won't kill the prey, but it is enough to immobilize it. The toxin can also help dissolve the tissues connecting prey to their shells, making extraction much easier. Each sucker on an octopus arm contains sensors that allow them to taste their food, and octopuses are surprisingly particular about flavor. They will sometimes pass up a readily available meal if they don't care for the way it tastes, even when desperate for food. Most octopuses are nocturnal hunters. They spend their days hidden in dens, usually under rocks or in crevices, and emerge at night when their excellent night vision gives them an advantage. Underwater observations showed that the animals remain in their dens and leave them at dusk for hunting trips, returning at dawn. The reproductive life of an octopus is both fascinating and tragic. Octopuses are semmelparous animals, which means they reproduce once and then they die. This isn't an accident or a failure of biology. It's a programmed feature of their life cycle. The male octopus has a modified arm called the hectocotylus, which is about 3 feet long and holds rows of sperm. Depending on the species, he will either approach a receptive female and insert the arm into her oviduct, or take off the arm and give it to her to store in her mantle for later. In the latter scenario, the female keeps the arm until she lays her eggs, at which time she takes the arm out and spreads the sperm over her eggs to fertilize them. Both sexes face grim fates after mating. The male dies a few months afterward, while the female dies shortly after the eggs hatch. If a male doesn't escape quickly enough after mating, he may even be eaten by the female. After mating, the female meticulously cares for her eggs until they hatch, foregoing food the entire time. She blows currents across the eggs to keep them clean and protects them from predators.
The eggs might incubate anywhere from 2 to 10 months, depending on the species and the water temperature. For some species, like the common octopus, this brooding period can last 4 to 5 months at low temperatures, all without eating. Why do octopuses put themselves through this deadly ordeal? The answer lies in the optic gland, similar to the pituitary gland in humans. After reproducing, the optic gland produces molecular signals that drive maternal behavior but also inactivate the digestive and salivary glands, leading to the octopus starving to death. In 1977, researchers removed the optic gland from female octopuses and found that the females abandoned their eggs, started feeding again, and went on to live a much longer life. The final days of a brooding mother are disturbing to witness. Researchers described 4 distinct phases: initially watching over eggs and stroking them, then stopping eating entirely and growing listless, and finally growing agitated, slamming themselves against their tanks, grooming themselves, ragged, tangling their tentacles and growing pale and emaciated before dying shortly after the eggs hatch. One source cites an estimated 1% survival rate for the giant Pacific octopus from hatchling to 10 millimeters. Baby octopuses receive no parental care. They're on their own from the moment they hatch, drifting as tiny paralarvae in the open ocean before eventually settling to the seafloor. Most octopuses have short lifespans. The common octopus, mimic octopus, and blue-ringed octopus live for around 12–18 months, whereas the giant Pacific octopus can have a lifespan of 3 to 5 years. A juvenile octopus grows at a rapid rate, increasing its weight by 5% each day. By the end of its life, an octopus will weigh 1/3 as much as all the food it has eaten. There are approximately 300 known species of octopuses living in oceans around the world, from tropical coral reefs to the frigid waters of the Antarctic. They've adapted to an astonishing range of environments, each species evolving unique characteristics suited to their particular habitat. The giant Pacific octopus is the largest known octopus species. Giant Pacific octopuses are some of the largest known octopus species on the planet and average around 110 pounds in weight and 16 feet across. They can live at depths of up to 6,000 feet beneath the ocean's surface. At the other extreme, we have the Dumbo octopuses. Dumbo octopuses are the deepest living octopuses and can be found down to depths of at least 13 to 100 feet, making this group the deepest living of all known octopuses. In 2020, Grimpoteuthis was spotted 6,957 meters deep in the Java Trench. There are 17 recognized species of Dumbo octopuses in the genus Grimpoteuthis. Dumbo octopuses are relatively small, growing to an average length of 20–30 centimeters. They're named after Disney's Dumbo the elephant because of their ear-like fins on either side of their mantle. Dumbo octopuses navigate the water by slowly flapping their ear-like fins, using their 8 limbs to steer. Dumbo octopuses have a gelatinous body and use fin propulsion for movement, which helps them to conserve energy in their extreme deep-sea environment. Light can only penetrate to 1,000 meters. After 1,000 meters, the only light found is produced by animals. So when you get down to near 7,000 meters, it's pitch black, and the pressure and temperature would be completely unsurvivable to creatures that live at the top of the ocean.
Living at such depths requires special adaptations. Dumbo octopuses lack innervated chromatophores and therefore are not capable of changing color. They also don't have ink sacs, since they rarely encounter predators in the deep sea. Unlike other octopuses, the female cirrus octopus does not guard or incubate the eggs. Grimpoteuthis hatchlings emerge as fully competent juveniles, with all of the sensory and motor features to survive on their own. Another remarkable deep-sea species is the glass octopus. Glass octopuses are translucent and live around 3,000 feet below sea level. They can grow to about 1.5 feet long, and you can see straight through to their digestive tracts, eyes, and optic nerves. Then there's the extraordinary deep-sea octopus Granellodon boreopacifica. One individual was reported guarding its eggs for 4.5 years. Typically, octopuses spend about a quarter of their lives brooding, which means this deep-sea octopus's lifespan could be 16–18 years, making it potentially the oldest cephalopod species. Members of the common octopus species are perfectly adapted to live in very different habitats. Their capacity to conceal themselves on any substrate by varying color, skin texture, and posture is challenged by few other cephalopod species. Some species undergo seasonal migrations, with large animals moving inshore for spawning in early spring. Let's explore some of the most extraordinary and lesser-known facts about octopuses that even surprise scientists. First, octopuses have been observed exhibiting what looks like play behavior. Studies found that both young and adult octopuses will pass objects from arm to arm or pull them along when swimming, with no apparent purpose other than what appears to be curiosity or enjoyment. Despite being generally antisocial creatures, in 2012, scientists made a surprising discovery in Jervis Bay, Australia. The supposedly solitary, gloomy octopus builds underwater cities. Congregations of dens are formed from rock outcrops and discarded piles of shells from the clams and scallops the octopuses had feasted on. These octopus cities, dubbed Octopolis and later Octlantis, show complex social behaviors, including communication and even evicting each other from dens. The blue-ringed octopus, despite being tiny, growing to at most 15 centimeters, carries venom powerful enough to kill humans. When provoked, iridescent blue rings surrounding dark brown patches appear all over their bodies as a warning. Its venom can cause breathing failure in humans and other animals. Some octopuses have developed truly bizarre, specialized behaviors. The blanket octopus female is gigantic compared to the tiny male. She can be up to 40,000 times heavier. Small individuals of the common blanket octopus carry tentacles from the Portuguese man-o'-war as a weapon. These tentacles carry a potent and painful venom. The common blanket octopus is immune but can inflict their effects on unwitting predators and prey. The female blanket octopus spends her whole life floating in the open ocean, where she carefully braids and attaches around 150,000 eggs to sponge-like stalks that she grows naturally. Another deep-sea drifter, the glass octopus, broods all her eggs inside her mantle where they hatch directly. Now let's address some myths. The correct plural of octopus is octopuses, not octopi. Octopus comes from Greek, not Latin, so the Latin plural doesn't apply. The Greek plural would technically be octopodes, but English convention has settled on octopuses. Another common misconception is that octopuses always squirt ink when threatened. While many species can release ink, some deep-sea species like the Dumbo octopus have no ink sac at all since they rarely encounter predators. People sometimes believe octopuses are aggressive toward humans, but attacks are extremely rare. Most octopuses are shy and prefer to hide or escape rather than confront large animals. The main exception is during brooding, when females will aggressively defend their eggs. There's also a persistent myth that octopuses are cold, unfeeling creatures. Research increasingly suggests otherwise. They show individual personalities, can remember and recognize individual humans, and exhibit what appear to be emotional states. Some aquarium octopuses have clear preferences for certain staff members and will interact differently with different people. Standing back and looking at the full picture of octopus biology, you begin to understand why they seem so alien to us. They have 3 hearts, blue blood, and a donut-shaped brain wrapped around their esophagus. They can edit their RNA to adapt to cold water, with increases in protein-altering activity at more than 13,000 sites. They can change color and texture within milliseconds using thousands of chromatophores, even though they're completely colorblind. They use tools, solve complex puzzles, and can remember solutions for weeks. They've been around for at least 296 million years, surviving mass extinctions that wiped out the dinosaurs. They live at depths up to 7,000 meters below the ocean's surface, in water so cold and dark and pressurized that it would instantly kill most other creatures. They reproduce only once and then die, programmed for self-sacrifice to ensure the next generation survives. Perhaps most remarkably, all this intelligence, all this sophistication, evolved completely independently from our own. The last common ancestor we shared with octopuses lived over 500 million years ago and was probably something like a primitive worm. Everything about octopus intelligence, from their distributed nervous system to their problem-solving abilities, evolved separately from vertebrate intelligence. They represent a completely different solution to the challenges of survival, a different pathway to cognition. If we ever encounter intelligent aliens from another world, they might be more like octopuses than like us. Minds built on completely different principles, perceiving and interacting with the world in ways we can barely imagine. But we don't need to travel to distant stars to find such beings. They're already here, moving through our oceans with 8 arms and 9 brains, changing colors we can't see, solving problems we're only beginning to understand. The octopus reminds us that intelligence can take forms radically different from our own. They challenge our assumptions about what minds can be, how cognition can work, and what consciousness might feel like from the inside. And after 296 million years of evolution, they're still keeping secrets, still surprising us, still showing us that the ocean holds mysteries as profound as anything we might find among the stars. These are the octopuses, ancient survivors, master camouflagers, tool users, and perhaps the closest thing we have to meeting alien intelligence right here on Earth.